This is one of the most beautiful rooms in Washington, the East Conference Room of the Supreme Court of the United States. It is my honor to introduce to you Sandra Day O'Connor, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. Throughout your career, Justice O'Connor, you have taken time for volunteer work, and frequently you have referred to the satisfactions you have derived from your volunteering. What specific volunteer experiences have you most enjoyed?
Well, there have been many. Volunteer work really has been a source of a great deal of stimulus and personal pleasure in my own life. I don't think there's anything basically more rewarding personally than the feeling that you've been able to help someone who needed help. It can be done person to person or neighbor to neighbor, or it can be accomplished in more of a group effort on a larger scale. The group efforts on the larger scale in volunteer work offer some additional benefits as well in the nature of being able to work with other people who share similar goals and aspirations. And I think the Junior League really gave me some of my first training as a volunteer. I had done perhaps isolated things in college and in high school, but it was not until I went to Phoenix and entered the Junior League that I had any specific training in how to be a good volunteer.
What did you do first?
Well, many things, but I think through the years, the activities that I enjoyed most, in addition to the experience within the Junior League itself, were my work with the Heard Museum in Phoenix, and my work with the Phoenix Historical Society, and with the Arizona Academy, which was structured to afford an opportunity to leaders throughout the state of Arizona to gather and discuss issues affecting the state, and my work with the Salvation Army Advisory Board in Maricopa County.
Over the years, the association and the member leagues have often played pioneer roles in developing model programs or launching movements addressing major needs of society. The volunteer bureaus, for example, started by the leagues in the 1930s, and then the mobilization of volunteers for civilian defense during World War II are notable examples of Junior League innovations. From your experience, have you become aware of any particular social issues or needs that have not been adequately addressed, for which the League might be playing a significant role?
That's hard to say in general terms, speaking nationwide, because every community is different in certain respects, and each community has its own set of particular needs and particular assets. And obviously the Junior Leagues are traditionally equipped to identify and evaluate those needs and resources in each community. So my comments certainly would not necessarily fit every community. There is still a need, in my view, for volunteer bureaus in all communities. As we see a reduction in the public funding for social service programs, it seems to me that we are going to see an increased need for volunteers, not a reduced need. And to have a community resource to help identify and match volunteers with agencies needing help is certainly one of the greatest services that a community can provide, and one of the greatest ways in which a Junior League can help. In addition, it seems to me that we live longer today, and we have a great many elderly people who, because of the mobility of our society today, don't necessarily have other family members to care for them when they are old and unable to do everything for themselves. And there are a great many of these elderly people in our country who have all kinds of basic needs, needs for housing, needs for certainly some medical attention, or at least the ability to get to the place where they can receive that medical attention to which they're entitled under some program. They have needs for food preparation and for just basic living requirements, as well as the need to have companionship with others. And the needs in that area are almost unlimited for most communities, and certainly the junior leagues can be helpful in identifying those things that can be of greatest use to this growing number of the elderly. And ironically, at the same time that we have all the elderly needing help, we also have elderly people who don't need help and who are a great resource themselves in giving volunteer service time.
They make very good volunteers.
They are wonderful because we have such a range of people with different experiences and ideas and time to give. It's a great untapped resource in my view. And then I think the last thing that I would mention on the needs aspect, perhaps because I've been close to it in the court system, is the use of volunteers to help with victims and witnesses in crimes and in the criminal justice system. Some communities have used volunteers to work with victims of crime and witnesses in criminal cases, to let them become familiar with what's going to be expected of them in court, to provide enough personal counseling and background advice to enable these people to face those experiences with a little bit of confidence. I think that those programs are useful, and again, in some communities, if that isn't being accomplished, maybe is an area that could be explored.
One characteristic special to the Junior League is its emphasis on training the individual member for effective voluntary participation and for the fullest realization of her potential. From your unique perspective, both as a league member and as a distinguished public servant, what kinds of training do you feel the league should be providing their members to be better volunteers and to achieve their greatest potential in today's kind of world?
The provisional training programs, which to the best of my knowledge are still geared to giving new members a broad exposure to the full range of the community's social service agencies and the cultural agencies, are really excellent vehicles to provide stimulus for volunteer service. I think it's exceedingly important in training volunteers to help women learn how to achieve goals acting as part of a group or a committee. There doesn't seem to be very much that's done these days by individual action. It seems as though almost everything we do in this world of ours today is accomplished by a committee or some form of group action. And so it's important to learn how to motivate a group, how to work within a group, to set goals and achieve goals and accomplish action in that setting. I know there's a story about Professor Kettering. I don't know if it's true, but it illustrates the point. At the time that he was teaching, I believe, at Harvard, and Lindbergh was making his historic flight across the Atlantic, it's rumored that one of the students in the class rushed back to report to the professor that Lindbergh had made it across the Atlantic and had landed. And the professor said, "Oh," and didn't indicate much excitement. And the student said, "Well, isn't it wonderful? Aren't you impressed?" And the professor responded, "When you tell me that he did it by committee, I'll be impressed." And it seems to me that indeed we do operate today by committee. One of the things that I find it very important to learn in group interaction is how to disagree agreeably. I think sometimes women tend to take opposing points of view or disagreement with their views personally. And
A personal attack, which
yes,
is so
right. And it's terribly important to learn how that is not the case, and how we can learn to have opposing points of view that don't in any way impair our good relations or our respect for our opponents. The other thing that I think perhaps we need to remember is to try to instill in all of the members the concept of developing a habit of excellence. And I think the Junior League historically has tried to do that. Encourage people to do every job, no matter how humble it might be, well. There's a tremendous satisfaction in doing something well, and it just provides a habit that will stand people in good stead with whatever job they have to do, no matter how grand or how small. Now, the last thing that I think I'd like to mention is that in volunteer training, to the extent that the League can succeed in placing a member in a volunteer role where that member realizes that she has accomplished something truly helpful, then she can realize the sense of self-worth and satisfaction that comes with that experience. And I think if you once have that experience, you're motivated to want to repeat it.
It seems very fitting, Justice O'Connor, that in the association's 60th year, it has the occasion to celebrate the singular achievement of a Junior League member who has become the first woman to be appointed to the Supreme Court of the United States. While recent years have certainly brought significant increases in the opportunities for women, many feel that we still have a long way to go. Would you comment on what you think are the issues affecting women which are important agenda items for today and for the future?
We need to look at it, I suppose, in the perspective of the incredible accomplishments and strides that women have made since the early 1960s in this country. I think that public awareness has grown as to the skills and the capacity of women to compete successfully in a wide range of non-traditional jobs, both paid and unpaid. The concept of equal pay for equal work has become a concept that I think is generally well accepted today as a result of the attention and the effort that has been given to the subject of women in the last 2 decades. Now, women in the 1980s, it seems to me, have to continue to press for a correction of any continuing inequities in treatment and in opportunities. And I think women have to continue to learn to cope with the multiple roles and demands on them that are the result of any gains that they've made, so that neither the family nor the job is neglected or suffers because of the new activities in which women are engaged. So certainly we have endless additional concerns in the 80s, and I don't think it's a time to let down those concerns.
Your successor as president of the Phoenix Junior League, Patty Simmons, has said in the Junior League Review that you are a woman who lives 38 hours out of every 24. As more and more women try to combine home and family commitments with a career and community service, is there some practical advice you can give on how you have managed to do all of these things so successfully?
Well, I don't know that I've done them all successfully.
Pretty much so.
But women have to learn to live without undue stress in what is outwardly a stressful world. And they have to learn how to juggle their multiple roles well. Most women have a number of careers all at once, you know. They're cooks and janitors and chauffeurs and teachers and nurses and professionals all at the same time. Women, I think, are basically a little stronger in many respects than men in their capacity to handle these multiple roles reasonably well and to prosper and thrive in that kind of a lifestyle. Women who work because they want to and not because they have to work seem to be extremely happy in achieving these multiple roles. And I think most Junior League members are an example of that because they are working outside the home, either as volunteers or also in paid positions, as well as serving roles at home. And I think that to do all of that, a woman has to learn how to be highly efficient, both at home and at work, and at play. Women have to make the time that they spend with children and family members meaningful and productive time, not just casual sit by the television time, but time when there's an interchange of ideas and experiences that make it meaningful to both. Women have to learn how to keep house with maximum efficiency and minimum amount of time. You need to maybe gather up all the quickie gourmet recipes you can and all the little time-saving techniques that you can. I think that to handle one's job efficiently, you need to learn to study more efficiently and to read more rapidly and to organize things more efficiently. And these are areas in which the Junior Leagues have traditionally worked, I think, to try to help members. But maybe they need to concentrate a little more. Maybe the leagues can offer a little more training in efficient household management and speedy cooking techniques, along with how to handle jobs better. Offer speed reading courses, offer organizational courses to teach you how to think through problems efficiently.
So there really is a responsibility for the league to take on some of this juggling responsibility too.
Tell people how to do it.
To help. What kind of organization would you like the Junior League to be in the year 2082?
I would like to think that the Junior League will continue to grow and to have a capacity and flexibility for change to meet the changing needs of the members that it serves and the communities which it serves. None of us can predict what conditions will be at that time, and what you need is to have the capacity and the willingness to change and adapt to changing conditions. And if we can give our members that training and capacity and that desire and that willingness to change as changes outwardly occur, I think the Junior Leagues will be as strong then and as helpful as they are today and as they have been in the past.
Well, you certainly have been very helpful to us today, Justice O'Connor. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.